Hi guys, Sarah here, and welcome to Novel Expectations. Today I'm coming to you with my 5th weekly wrap-up of 2016. I finished 3 books this week, and I'm actually really pleased about that, considering last week I only had 1 book done. So let's jump right in and talk about what I read. So the first book I finished is Rebel Cowboy by Nicole Helm. This is the first book in the Big Sky Cowboy series. It was published in 2016, and I gave it 3 stars. I had originally planned on doing a full review on this book for the channel, but decided it really just wasn't worth it because I liked it, but I didn't think it warranted a full review. It was a cute enough story. It was a contemporary romance. It was about a man named Dan Sharp, who is a player for the NHL, who is now under investigation for throwing Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So he is headed to Montana to his grandparents' old ranch that he inherited, and decides to spend the summer trying to become a rancher. He hires who he thinks is a man named Mel, but it's actually a woman, to help teach him to be a rancher. And when he opens the door and realizes it's a woman, you know, things quickly change. I really enjoyed this story. It was really cute. It was really sweet, but I had a very, very hard time reading through it. The first half of it I had major issues with. I didn't like Mel. I really couldn't stand Mel. She copped an attitude to him every single chance she got. She was rude right to his face, pretty much saying, you know, pretty boy with all the money, what do you need to be here for? Well, sorry, sweetheart, but he's now paying you to do a job. So you can't talk to your employer that way as far as I'm concerned. The second half of the book, she got better. She didn't do a complete about-face, which I did appreciate because people don't change all that much. But she got a lot better, and the second half was a lot easier to read. For that reason, I gave this book 3 stars. Like I said, it is the first in the series. I'm going to give book 2 a try because it wasn't the writing or the story that bothered me. It was the character. The next book I finished this week was Undeniably Yours by Shannon Stacy. This is book 2 in the Kowalski family series. It was published in 2010, and I gave it 4 stars. This was my audiobook, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is the story of Beth and Kevin. Kevin is Joe's brother. Now, Joe and Carrie were the couple for book number 1. So they are now at Joe and Carrie's wedding. I know, spoiler alert. And Beth is the bartender. And her and Kevin meet and end up having a fling. And she ends up becoming pregnant. So she comes back to tell him and agrees to stick around so they can try and raise the baby together. Now, she grew up in a home that she was very much smothered. She was the only child born to a mother who had a series of miscarriages. And because of that reason, both of her parents, you know, were overly overprotective. So she has spent most of her adulthood so far traveling around the country, not staying in any place too long, not really putting down roots. Kevin wants to take care of her, and she's resisting because it's not what she's used to because she doesn't want to feel smothered again. So it's a really, really sweet story. There was a secondary story about Polly and her ex, Sam. Polly works in the bar that Kevin owns. And it was a really, really nice side story. Those characters were very well developed. Shannon Stacy is a fantastic author, and I highly recommend that you give her books a shot. Start with this series because it really is fantastic. And the last book I finished this week was The Cat Who Could Read Backwards by Lillian Jackson Braun. This was the very first book in the Cat Who series. It was originally written in 1966, so this is a 50-year-old book, and I gave it 5 stars. This was such a fun throwback book for me because I read this entire series years and years ago. About 15 to 20 years ago. And this was like just a joy for me to pick up and reread. It had been so long since I'd read this book, I didn't remember the whodunit, but it was absolutely fantastic. This, in my opinion, is the original cozy mystery series, next to anything by Agatha Christie. It's about a man named Jim and his cat Coco, and they pretty much solve mysteries. And this one takes place around the art world, art dealers, art critics, and all that stuff. Jim works at a local newspaper where he is an art critic, and yeah, this was just such a fun, campy novel. If you've never read these, I highly recommend you pick them up and give them a shot. As for my Goodreads challenge so far, as of today, which is January 30th, I am now 1 book ahead of schedule for the year, so that's very exciting. So let's jump right into what I am currently reading. The first book I am currently reading is The Time Traveler's Guide to Medieval England by Ian Mortimer. I started this back at the beginning of January, and I'm still not even half done it yet. I've been reading so many other things. I'm really enjoying this. It's just hard to sit down and pick this one up when I have an audiobook and an ebook that are just so much easier and quicker to pick up. So I do want to finish this. My goal is to finish it by the end of February. like I said, so far I'm really enjoying it. The book I just started yesterday is The Secrets of Lizzie Borden by Brandy Purdy. This is a historical fiction novel, but it is a fictional retelling of the Lizzie Borden murders. I'm only about a chapter in, and so far it's been very interesting. I am not overly familiar with the situation and the events leading up to the murders of Lizzie's father and stepmother, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. I don't want to read too much about what actually happened. It'll be kind of fun going into it not knowing and being able to figure it out as I go. Now, we all know how it ends. Those of us who know anything about these murders, that yes, her parents are murdered, but whether she did it or not, I think it's still up for speculation. So I saw this one on Amazon, and I had to pick it up right away, and I do plan on doing a full book review on it next week. And the last book I am reading this week, which I will probably be reading for the entire month of February, is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I'm actually listening to this on audiobook. It's about a 50-hour-long audiobook, and the narrator does a really good job. She narrates slowly enough that you can speed it up and not lose any of what she's talking about. I find when some people say they listen to audiobooks at like 2 times the speed, I can't do that because I find it gets jumbled. This is not the case, and I'm listening to it at 1 1/4 speed, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So I know it'll go a little bit quicker, and maybe I'll even be able to put in a second audiobook this month, but we'll see. So anyway, guys, have you read any of these books, and what did you think about them? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye.